Welcome to Leaders of Today. I'm excited to introduce you to my guest, Kelly Hurd. Kelly knows firsthand what it feels like to struggle as a teen. Growing up with a tough home life and anxiety, she became a people pleaser, always trying to feel good enough. But when life forced her to slow down, she discovered the power of going inward, learning resilience, self-compassion, and tools to manage stress and anxiety. Today, Kelly brings those lessons to her work as a health coach, life coach, and educational consultant. With over 20 years of experience teaching kindergarten through 8th grade, she now helps individuals and organizations boost resilience, well-being, and joy through practical, research-based tools. Kelly's compassion for teens and adults alike come from her own story. She's passionate about helping others face challenges with confidence, strength, and self-love.
You're listening to Today's Leaders, from teens to titans. Hi, I'm Lorraine Connell, a teen leadership coach. I transitioned from teaching chemistry to coaching teens in leadership, helping them realize they can do hard things. We've often believed that leadership is an innate trait, but it's actually a skill that you build and improve. On this show, you'll meet today's leaders who share their teenage experiences, revealing how they developed confidence, direction, and the tools to become the leaders they are now. You'll discover how you or the teens in your life have the potential to become confident leaders, even if it doesn't seem possible.
Welcome, Kelly. I'm so grateful to have you today on the podcast.
I'm so grateful to be here.
Excellent. All right. So as I start all of my podcasts, I would like for you to take your trip down memory lane to the teen that was Kelly and share how some of those experiences are showing up for you today and helping you be the most awesome leader that we see in front of us.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. You couldn't pay me to go back, but I came from a household where there was love, but there was a lack of understanding about how to deal with stress and anxiety. My parents both had anxiety, and there was some mental illness there. There was a lot of trauma in their past. So there was a reliance on alcohol to kind of get through, or my mom took the other route of kind of going dorsal, crying in bed and just withdrawing. And so I didn't have modeling of how to deal with things. And because of the chaotic nature of my household, I became a people pleaser. And so I wanted to be good and do things differently than they did. But my tools were, the way I felt good was people pleasing, taking care of everyone else, and trying to achieve and get really good grades and get near the top of my class. In 1993, when I graduated from high school, how they do the superlatives at the end of the year, I was voted nicest or friendliest, whatever it was, which, at the time I was really proud of that. And then, as I grew older and became an adult, I realized that that wasn't so good. That was a sign of me focusing on everyone else and not taking care of myself. So to answer your question, I struggled with incredible anxiety. I didn't have tools to handle it. I struggled in high school socially. Grades weren't easy. I had to really work for them. And it was hard. And I kind of learned the wrong way, to be honest. Like I said, my family had a lot of love. And so when I was dealing with girls that were really mean at school and anxiety about tests, my mom meant well, but she would say, just stay home. I'll call you in sick. Mm-hmm. And so immediately that felt really good and felt safe and like, oh, phew, I'm better now. Now I can study more or whatever. But then it kind of grew, the anxiety, because the problem still didn't go away. And so what I learned really in my body is that I kind of can't handle things and just to run from them. So I went to college. I became a teacher. I learned so many good things that I thought I was doing differently. Like I know how to take care of kids, how to not abuse kids, and how to be really good with them. But what I still hadn't learned were the tools on how to deal with stress and anxiety and controversy, hard things. And so what that meant is in my life, when there were problems, I didn't know how to talk about them. I would bury them and I would kind of be optimistic, Pollyanna, like it'll work out. And I didn't have any of those tools to handle that. So my life kind of imploded and I was really unhappy. And I was still kind of functioning with, I will try to take care of everyone else and I'll overachieve. So at the time, I was then a reading teacher. And so I was volunteering to come in early to have extra kids on my caseload because I really did want to be good and do well. But it was part of me feeling good enough by doing extra, right? And so then I was also volunteering as a Girl Scout leader and I was on boards in the area. So I kept spreading myself so thin that eventually all of that caught up for me. And it was the same things from high school that I hadn't learned and that I was dealing with. But what that did is it kind of forced me into a corner of, I'm so unhappy in my life and I'm feeling so much anxiety and depression and manifestations of that, like chronic pain in my body and panic attacks. And so it forced me to change. And so then I crawled my way out of that and I learned the tools. And so that is how I feel like it has helped me so much. I'm so grateful for the journey because, maybe people don't have my story of not a great home life, but I think a lot of us don't explicitly learn those tools on how to handle things when they're hard. And I think it's human nature to shy away from things that are hard. So I've now learned so many tools and I'm kind of obsessed about learning more and continually up-leveling my skills. And so now that's what I've done. I've left teaching and I do that now full time. So I think that's a really kind of amazing thing that's come out of what I struggled with in high school, if that makes sense.
It's so interesting to me in all of these stories that I have been listening to in this season is that often we're creating the thing that we needed as a teenager, right? It's so beautiful because there are so many teens who connect and relate to these stories, right? They're not exactly the same, but there is enough that we're all going through that what we needed is something that somebody else needs. And so I think it's really beautiful to hear that story and to hear the result of what has been created because of that story.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
I think one of the things that stood out to me was the fact that, like, when we think of challenging households or challenging parents and things like that, we have this automatic assumption that there wasn't love as part of it. And it's so powerful that you said that at least twice, that like love was the foundation. It wasn't that, there was all of this trauma alone, but there was trauma and there was love. And I wonder how often the things that our parents do, things that we do, are done out of love and our own coping mechanisms. And so I'd love you to shine a little bit of light on how maybe you've recognized similar patterns and how you've sort of confronted those patterns that, I'm thinking of the one where your mom was like, just stay home. And I think so often that feels so good in the moment.
Yeah, I can see her perspective now because when you love your kids so much, you want to protect them and you don't want them to have pain. And so she was doing the best she could with what she knew. And unfortunately, I wasn't developing resiliency. And so now as a mom, I have a daughter, she's now 21. But yeah, I want to bubble wrap her. I don't want her to ever feel pain. I don't want her to ever struggle in life. I want to give her everything I didn't have. And I also know that this is how we grow. This is how we learn. And I'm so confident that my daughter can handle whatever comes her way. And I've caught myself doing that same kind of thing out of love. But did you ever hear about the trees? Where was this? This was somewhere out west and they were growing. I don't know, it was kind of like an experiment in a bubble, maybe like if something happened and they were growing trees and there was no wind and the trees ended up just falling over, even though they were super tall and had been given all the nutrients and everything they needed. But what they learned, the scientists learned from this kind of experimental place, is that the wind helps the trees develop strong roots so that they stay sturdy, right? They have resilience. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, what a great metaphor. Like, we do need the hard things. We do need to be exposed and know that we can handle hard things and have the tools that maybe make it a little bit easier. But yeah, so I keep trying to catch myself, even now with my daughter, how old she is. But when she was a teenager, I would try to catch myself and not fix things for her, let her
Mm.
do it, and relay to her that I have confidence that you'll figure this out. You know what's right. You will. And even if it feels like it's the wrong decision, we can still pivot and fix it then, you know?
Yeah, and that resonates a lot with me. I listened to Lynn Lyons on her
Of
podcast,
her.
Flusterclux, and
Yep.
she said that, like, when we can't handle it, we transport that feeling of,
Right.
protection onto our kids, which then tells our children that we don't believe they can handle it, which is so, like, ironic to me. I remember being in a position where I was trying to protect my son, and I realized that the message I was saying to him subconsciously was like, I didn't think he could handle it. And so it's so fascinating. That tree metaphor is really incredible. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, it's hard for us. Also, think of a lot of things that I hear is like, leave your baggage at the door. Is like so often as parents, when we hear these stories from our kids, it brings up that
Sure.
same feeling that we had when it happened to us.
Yes. I can viscerally think about high school and the mean kids and not being cool and the struggle for grades and the pressure to get into college. I mean, I can feel it in my body just coming right back. Absolutely. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so funny to like look at ourselves now, see where we are now, and be like, if I could go tell that little girl where she would go in life, she would never believe me.
I know. It's so true.
Yeah. But without that journey, without that wind, we couldn't have gotten here.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm so,
No.
like, I've never been happier. I love my life so much and I'm so grateful for everything I learned and it helps me help other people. Like, that just feels like the greatest gift I have in my office. I have teens coming in, I have 20 somethings coming in, I have people in the corporate burnout who, have still never learned those lessons of happiness as opposed to stress because they've just been grinding. And so, like, I feel like if I can give this information away and these tools, that feels healing to me. It's like everything that my parents never had and that
Yeah.
I didn't have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and I think the not enough feeling, it's never something we really talk about, right? And that is pretty much the drive for all the things that we feel and do, is to feel that maybe I can be enough. If I do this, I'll be enough. It's like almost in line with the perfectionism challenge, right?
Mm-hmm. 100%.
How did you get to that place of knowing that you were the only one to acknowledge that you were enough? Or like, what was it that helped you stop chasing the feeling of being enough?
I mean, I'll be honest, I still work on it every day. I feel like
Mm.
180 degrees, I'm a different person, but our society is pretty tricky, advertising, and I don't want to blame it all on them. And there's certain things I grew up with, that yelling and abuse, that I feel like that kind of darkness, honestly, like it lives in my head a little bit. Like I fight that. So a couple things. One time I was really mean to myself out loud. I didn't mean to be, and I didn't know my daughter was nearby. And I don't know how old she was, maybe 7. And her response was, Mama, why would you do that? Or why would you say that? And it makes me teary because I was like, oh my God, like I'm being mean. And she caught me and she's so full of love. And I was like, why am I being mean? So that was one. Also, there was a time that I should have been, it was her 8th grade graduation. I should have been so happy. I mean, it was in a way. She got a lot of awards. It was a really exciting time. There was family around, but I was overweight. My whole body hurt. I couldn't even get through dinner because I had just so much pain all over. And I just kind of hated my life. And I saw the picture later and I'm like, I was so fake smiling, like just trying to pretend. And I was like, something has got to change. Like, I can't keep living like this. There's got to be a better way. I mean, I had multiple divorces. I had just some really hard things in my life that kept happening. And it's not because I was bad or messed up, but I just didn't know how to handle it. And I knew there had to be a better way. So it's almost like things were so bad that I just knew that what I had been doing wasn't working. So I had to do something differently. And it was really slowly too. It's not like I had all the answers or found this like one thing. Like, it started with yoga. And it started with meditation, and it started with Barnes and Noble, the self-help section, personal development, like me just kind of wanting to learn and change. And I had done a lot of therapy, and I so believe in therapy. It's amazing. But also, like, I just didn't want to keep talking about my childhood and staying stuck. And so it was getting a life coach, and for me, learning practical tools that would help me change the way I was thinking, change how I handled problems, but also healthy habits. Because it's like talk therapy was amazing, but yet I needed more. I needed more like future oriented things. Like, what do I do now with my day? Like, for example, like I would get up and I would look at my phone and I would check Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and I would compare myself to other people immediately. First thing in the morning, I had just woken up 20 seconds later, or I would check my work email and I would be like, what did I mess up on? And so I was drilling in anxiety, worry, problems. It was really like practical things that I was doing in my life that I didn't realize. It was good because I'm like, okay, what did I miss? What do I need to do today? But again, it's like this frenetic energy of trying to be good enough. And so it was just when I learned that, and then a lot of it was coming down to my self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of beating myself up and having that negative inner voice, realizing that it felt better, I'm like, okay, I'll just try it. Like, I'll just try these weird ways, life coach lady, that you're giving me. And like, it felt so much better in my body, but also like learning that there's been so many studies that have shown that we try to be mean to ourselves thinking that will help improve. But time and time again, studies show that no, we need compassion. We need self-love. And so it's like, okay, the science of that. And even like, have you heard of I think it was basketball. They did a whole bunch of studies and they asked these basketball players for this one group, I want you to think about the technical aspects of layups and the plays that you guys have and reinforce before the game how things work in this, like the right way. And then the other group was about, you were made for this. You've been preparing for this. You're ready. Like, this is going to happen, like kind of cheering yourself on. And time again, the group that was just cheering themselves on and that positive self-talk did better. So it's like slowly over time, I'm like, okay, there's science behind this. It's not woo, but also it feels better in my body. And I had also been, when you're in survival mode, you're just going ahead and you're not listening to your intuition or your gut. So it was kind of slowing down and listening, and it just felt, things felt better. I started listening to that inner voice that I had and starting to trust it. And so when you get a little bit of momentum, I think that's really when things start to really change. Like, oh, there's something to this and this works and I feel better and I'm doing better. It's not just one thing.
No, there was so much in that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think I was in it with you. I didn't write anything down, but like, I definitely feel like that inner self voice, gosh, they can be so mean. And I think it was really interesting that like it came outside of your voice, like instead of just being in your head, it was out loud.
Right.
And that's when somebody caught you being like so mean. And you're like, probably were like, I'm mean like this all the time to myself.
Yeah. And it's not what I wanted my daughter to learn.
No, but it's so interesting that you say that we think we're going to fix ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder how that shows up with fixing our kids, right? So it's like, I'm mean to myself in my head, thinking I'm going to fix my imperfections. And then also, I'm going to not be mean, but fix my kids. And so we're like really destroying the resilience muscle. I always call it like building muscles. And I think that's really true.
Yeah, I agree.
And the momentum. I think back to when I was really struggling with my diabetes and I just kept blaming well, I'm hungry, so I'm going to eat and I'm going to need more insulin, almost like a wheel, right? And so the wheel is moving in the wrong direction and it's moving really fast. In order to change it, you said this, you have to stop the wheel, which means you have to pause. You do nothing, but you have to stop the wheel from moving in the wrong direction before you can turn it. And I think that's one of the things, maybe it's one of your strategies. One of the things that I don't think we talk a lot about when we're in that negative spiral is the first thing that you have to do is just stop.
Yeah.
Pause. The meditation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because one, I love your example because no one else is coming to save you or fix you. And so if you're kind of in victim mode, right? And I can't imagine the struggles and what you've been
Right.
through, but it's realizing that what we've been doing hasn't worked. We've got to try something different. And yeah, it's pausing and choosing different over and over again because these are habits that are within us.
So you said you work with teens. Like, how does a teen find someone like you? I think as parents, we're like,
Yeah.
okay, therapy, therapy, therapy. But like, how does a parent say, well, maybe my kid needs a life coach? That was the other thing that I really wanted to highlight was that you made the distinction to me before and again today, the difference between therapy
Mm.
and life coaching. Life coaching is moving forward and giving you the tools to work towards the future, where therapy is helping you try and deal with the things that were in your past.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't do any diagnosing. And I think a therapist view would be like, let's look at your past and that so we can understand where you are today. But
Yeah.
I don't go there. So typically it would be a parent that would find me. And
Yeah.
I think for some people too, it's a little bit easier. Like, okay, you're not a therapist, you're a life coach, because there is a stigma, unfortunately, with therapy. So I think that's one maybe nice piece for life coaching. But I think what resonates for parents and teens is that there are things you can learn to handle things in a different way. I feel like now I felt so afraid of life when I was a teenager, when I was in my 20s, just like so afraid, always walking around with a pit in my stomach and on edge and worrying about other people and trying to be the best I could and worrying what they think. Like that never went away. And so think that will still pop for me, but I've got the tools to do that. So I feel like now I'm walking around with this invisible like toolkit. Like I'm like, okay, what do I need now? And I pull it out. And so that concept, I think for parents, because we see teens doing the same thing, like struggling with peers, relationships, numbing. If there's a problem, like think about what scrolling is. For me, I would like, if there's a problem and I didn't want to feel it and it felt uncomfy, I would stay busy or like focused on achievement or whatever, right? I think the go-to now, unfortunately, social media and our screen society has changed our brains. And so I feel like that's a great way to kind of tune out from what's going on. This feels hard. And so I'm just going to tune, I'm going to scroll, I'm going to tune out, I'm going to numb, right? So a lot of what I'm saying is let's feel our feelings. Let's talk about it. And let's know in our body, let's feel it, like think of it as a wave. It's going to be temporary and you can handle it. And it's just an uncomfortable feeling. And there are things we can do to make it better. So, one of the things we talk about is walking towards the monster, which is what I call like what I didn't do when those girls were mean and I was afraid of going to school. That was my monster. And so rather like, how can we make it a little bit easier? How can we talk about strategies and kind of role play it, what you're going to say? How could you write out bullet points on a sticky, like, this is how I'm going to handle this. So you just feel like it's a little bit easier. We're scaffolding it. But you're still walking towards the monster, and I can do hard things and I can do this, so that the teens coming in, like they come in, I'm looking at the chair where they sit, they might vent a little bit. Like, this is going on. This feels overwhelming. I'm procrastinating. I've got a test and I didn't study or whatever. So we vent, they vent. I help them feel their feelings. Like, okay, feel, where is it in your body? Like, we can handle this feeling and we can get through this. Okay, and let's talk about now how we can handle it and pivot and make this situation better. And so I feel like I'm helping them to learn resiliency, that especially is so helpful for when they go off to college or when they're starting their 20-somethings and they're starting working in their own career. And that feels again like pressure, so much pressure. And so how do you handle that? So anyway, yeah, I've gotten really, really good feedback from parents and teens that, it's kind of life-changing. Like they weren't maybe kids that needed therapy, but they needed something else because things were feeling overwhelming. And, even though my parents needed help, I wasn't going to listen to them. It's a little bit easier having,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even if they knew more, it's, that relationship is tricky. So it just feels a little bit better having someone else. And I'm also non-judgment, like, it's a safe place. And so I think that just feels really good to them.
Yeah. So if you could go back to Kelly, who was a teenager, but really thinking about teens, you work with a bunch of teens who maybe are walking in the shoes that we just talked about.
Yeah.
What advice would you, I mean, I feel like you gave us a little bit, but what advice would you give?
Mm. The first thing I think I would give to younger Kelly would be to be more present in my body and notice. It took me, like, I can't even tell you how many years to notice when I'm shifting from regular, I'm regulated, I'm okay, to notice when I'm shifting into a protective state, a stress response.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's like a tightening of my chest, more shallow breathing, kind of my gut feels like it's wrenching. That's a cue that you're not feeling safe. And so if you have that awareness, then you can be like, because we're always scanning the environment. Am I safe? Am I unsafe? We're always doing this, called neuroception. So if
Yep.
you can notice then when it's affecting you, and if you have tools, like I just wish, because I got into survival mode because I ignored my body and I'm like, plot ahead, keep going. What do we need to do?
Mhm.
So if I could tune in and then notice and then be a little bit more gentle, like, what do I need right now? What is making me not feel safe? So I think that would be one, because that's really, our body is so brilliant and we
Yeah.
tend to ignore it. And then also, like, I teach my teens and everyone about breath work, because it's like, say I was being chased by a tiger right now. There's no way I'm slowing down to have calm
Right.
breathing, right? Where
Right.
it's shallow and the breathing is up here. So it's almost like if I can get my body to breathe calmly, it's almost like my nervous system is saying, huh, I'm breathing like a calm person. I must be calm. So you can almost kind of trick it. And, it could even be thinking like, I'm safe, I'm okay. But then Kelly's sitting back in high school getting ready to take the SATs or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, I'm going to do some, like, the 2X breath. Having a way to calm and regulate myself would have been a game changer. But I was like white knuckling it all the time. And my brain was looking for what's wrong always and
Mhm.
scanning, and it became hyper vigilant. So if I had known, like, if I can just double my exhale and really focus on a slow exhale, no one knows I'm doing that. I can be sitting
Right.
here taking the SATs or about to start when they're getting ready, and I can just focus on, is my belly rising? Am I getting a slow, big, deep breath so that I'm giving my body fresh oxygen, which is going to make me feel better and switch over my nervous system. And then maybe also like looking for what's good. And
Mm.
that little shift, because it's the reticular activating system in our brain, it just looks harder to like have your back. Like, Kelly, oh, there's a problem, I'm going to look harder to see what else is wrong. So I felt everything was unsafe and I just didn't see the good. So I feel like if I had been able to see more good, regulate myself, and then I feel like if I had started, oh my gosh, it's so hard. I mean, I'm 50. It's taken me so long and I'm still working on it. But if my self-talk had been, like, of course you're feeling this way, or of course those girls, yeah, they're talking about other people and it's going to make you feel this way and it's going to make you feel unsafe about being on a school counselor or whatever. Of course. And what do we do about it? Like, compassion for myself rather than, I'm stupid, I'm not good enough to be here. If I had been more gentle and had my own back, even when I messed up, and really, it's exactly what you said before. I never felt good enough. So if I could have loved myself and been like, like, Kelly, you're clearly a good person, you're trying hard in this life, I think that would have been a game changer for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. And I hope anybody who's listening takes a minute right now and acknowledges how far they've come, how strong they are, and how brave they are for all the things that they've done, because I don't know that we do that enough for ourselves. And one of the things that stood out to me as I became this leadership coach was that I was not willing to call myself a leader. And it was the fact that I realized that if I couldn't call myself a leader, how would my children ever see themselves as a leader? So if we can't be kind to ourselves in our own heads, then we're not teaching our children how to be kind to themselves.
100%.
And when we look in the mirror and we're like, well, wait, I can't do that to my kid. Start
Right.
with yourself. It starts with us.
Right.
And once you have practiced the skill and figured it out, then your kids follow suit. And I have a lot of teachers who listen to this podcast. Teachers, you're the same thing, right? If you can't see yourself as a leader, you can't see yourself as a positive being in front of your students won't see themselves that way either. And that's like, a lot of times that's one of the hardest things to accept is like, I can't, no, they're wonderful. They're amazing. So are we.
I love that. You're so right. They pick up on that. I even tried to it's silly, but I have this line of like silly goose now, but I was like, I have to explicitly model this for when I was a teacher and my daughter. I'm like, oh, Kelly Hurd, you're a silly goose. Like that's better than saying Kelly Hurd, you're a whatever, right? Like, so silly goose, like, because of course we all make mistakes. That's how we learn. And if we can embrace it, not make it feel like our nervous system makes it feels like life or death. But more like, I'm going to learn from this and I'm going to pivot and I can handle it and I can do hard things. It's good. I can handle it.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember getting a test back and seeing all the X's on it and feeling like a failure, even though the grade was above failing, but it was like any mistake for me was failure.
Exactly.
And it has to be a continuum. If you're not perfect, it doesn't mean you're a failure, and that binary is so powerfully constraining. It's strangling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that keeps us trapped. That's it.
Yeah. So like I said, I have a lot of teacher listeners. I have a lot of parents. Let me give you the floor. Tell people how they can find you, connect with you. I know you're located in the Dover area or Exeter area, but do you do work online?
I have an office in Dover and I meet clients in person, but also virtually, which is really great. My thought was things really changed for me when I up-leveled, right? So my website is uplevelformore.com because I believe if you up-level your tools, you're going to have more peace, more joy, more freedom, more time, right? Like it's just, there's so much that comes from just up-leveling your game. So Up-Level for More, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I've got the website, and I'm happy to talk to people for free just to kind of explain more of what I do and have an understanding of what coaching looks like. Because it's a really cool, I believe in it so much. I love my job so much. Like I can't wait to work with my clients. I love them. I have so much love for them and I see so much potential and it's incredible, this shift. Like typically I ask people, I'm like, give me 12 weeks because that's enough time. It doesn't feel like forever, but it's enough time that like, come in, let's talk about what's coming up for you. And in real time, I'm going to give you the tools that work for you. And it's not like I have a book of, we're going to do these 12 tools.
Yes.
I feel like I'm older now. I'm 50 and I've had anxiety my whole life. Like I have the things that I've learned along the way. And then I have the things in the past 10 years that I've really studied hard to like, what are the game changers? So I've got a lifetime of experience, but also this wealth of breadth of knowledge that different things work for different people.
Yeah.
And so that's also what I love. It's like in real time, I will give you my best on what I think is the next best thing for you to get to those goals where you want to go.
That's amazing. It was so great to talk to you. Thank you so much for all the tools you gave my listeners.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for what you're doing. I think you're doing an incredible thing. I love your book. I love your podcast. I'm such a big fan of yours. So thank you for the world needs more of you.
Likewise.
Are you ready to help the young people in your life unlock their inner strength and step confidently into leadership? The new workbook from Peers Not Fears, Your Voice Matters, Uncovering Your Unique Leadership. It's designed to help teens see the leader in themselves, step by step. It's not just a workbook. It's the first step towards a ripple effect that could change lives. Let's turn today's teens into tomorrow's titans. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Leaders of Today, Teens to Titans. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other parents who might benefit from this conversation. Together, we can support our teens in building healthy, positive relationships and become leaders of tomorrow. Until next time, I'm Lorraine Connell, and this is Leaders of Today, Teens to Titans.